Welcome, everybody, to Galeria Smite League. My name is Panda Bear Ash, and on the desk with me right now, I have my good friend Sir Ionicus. How's it going on over today?
This is going good. Looking forward to this finals game today between Spaced Out and Just Built Different. Be very, very exciting. They've had very, very good matches going forward, so it'll be very, very nice to see how they fight each other and who will come out on top today.
Yes, we will have a great best of five. Let's go right into pick some bands. We have no time to waste. Very excited for this game. Has to be one of my favorite games out of all the finals. Just built different. Nearly has had a pretty dominant run. With Wiener Brigade, they did have some troubles, but it ended up getting the 2-0, won their next game. Spaced Out, a very similar type of run. So it's almost like two Titans colliding.
Yeah, I mean, there was the challenge of Ken Kai's for Spaced Out to get here, and it was a very, very strong performance from both sides with Spaced Out coming out to victor. So it'll be very fun to watch how Spaced Out deals with Just Built Different, who's kind of just had the dominant performance throughout this tournament.
Yeah, definitely should be fun. To catch y'all up and pick some bands, we saw Nemesis, ESET, and Caliban coming out from Just Built Different, and Kepri, Baba Yaga, and Ravana coming out from Spaced Out. These picks, are picks that Just Built Different and Spaced Out have gone to. So no surprise, neither or. Both very good picks. What do you want to see coming out from Spaced Out in these top two in response to a Cupid?
I mean, there's always the tried and true Cupid and Cabrakan matchup where Cabrakan just runs at Cupid, Fields of Love or otherwise. So that could be a good pickup. There's also, you could pick up your ADC. I know Zip Zap has a very large god pool, so it'll be very, very interesting to see how he does that, especially with Artemis having come out recently as a counter to Cupid. So it'll be depending on how they think they want to do this. But Colin, not a bad answer to start.
Yeah, it's definitely a pick that they've been going to quite a bit. They went to it a bit in their last two sets. No surprise that this coin gets picked up. A little bit of some facts for you. Zip Zap has picked up Artemis twice in the semifinals, so it is not surprising we'll see him. But that's a Freya, which is a pick I don't believe he's went to. He went to in the semifinals, so should be exciting. Definitely a pick that I know he's good on and can operate on, so I'm excited for that. Where do you think, because we often talk about Freya being this hyper game, this late game hyper carry. So with a Cupid, this team fight almost monster, what do you want to see accompanying Cupid besides the seeing Tien, which is almost expected from Dawes? It's kind of his pick. That we've seen come so much. Where else do you think? Because a support isn't all that supports the ADC. What do you want to see in mid, or maybe the solo or jungle?
Cupid is being the team fight monster he is. He can just level 5, can rotate to any fight. Generally not going to because of ADC lanes, but it'll be probably something to help the early game, especially into a Freya, to just shut down Freya. So when they transition to these team fights, it'll be just easier for Cupid to do something. Mercury, also another option, good option. They did pick it up. Just gonna be able to burst people down. Again, another late game carry to counter a late game carry. So smart on Just Built Different to counteract that late game presence by having one of their own. I'd like to see something early game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Mercury, a very late game character, so I think you'd want an early to mid game mid coming out from here. But with this last pick, Adachi being picked up, that's in the Summer Masters we saw her fall off in the tournament side week 2. But I personally still think she's really, really strong. She's a lot of merits, especially into a draft like this with Cupid and Mercury. Not much CC immunity. Your big engage is your CC immunity for Mercury, and Cupid just doesn't have any, so you're expending the beads on that. So definitely, Just Built Different, have to be careful about what they draft. Coming out with these bands, we see a Yu Huang. What else would you like to see banned coming out from either side?
I mean, I just see a Dodgy there. You need to start getting all your beads burners banned on the side of Just Built Different, because the minute you don't have beads on that Cupid, Dodgy's gonna be over there. And Freya
Hmm.
also a good person for getting beads out, and if they pick a
Yeah.
good support for it. So it'll be interesting to see how they draft into this, because if they get a support that pulls beads really well, like Ares or Kuzan, not even Kuzumbo, potentially Kuzumbo, something like that,
Mhm.
just something that can get burn those beads super easily for that Cupid. That dual lane is going to be a prime target for Lina on this Daji, especially with the Freya, because as we said, on one side they want to shut down Freya, Space Out want to feed the Freya, so it'll be very, very uh, fun to see how they make do with this comp and what the rest of their draft will be, especially looking at support and mid.
Yeah, definitely should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. We did see a Chiron ban and a Poseidon ban coming out from Just Built Different. Um, those are two picks, Poseidon being one of two contested picks coming out from uh, Space Out Just Built Different. There will be Kepri, Chiron, another pick that the Ginger Archer loved to go to. We saw it quite a bit. He had some burst out performances while spaced out, banning out this King Arthur, which is just a dominant pick. I do not want any solo on it, period. And they look at this Discordia. We've seen her have a almost meteoric rise in a sense. She's had some great games in the pro scene, some great games in other leagues that I've seen. So, what are exactly the merits of this pick?
So one, she did recently get a buff. That second ability, Strife, being able to CC targets to hit each other. The Madness effect
Mhm.
being an amazing effect in the game. On top of that, she also has her escape ability on up a little bit more. And as Discordia, she has a CC from both the Apple of Discord and her Strife ability, but she also has that passive, which gives whoever's doing the most damage to the enemy team more damage. In likelihood, that in my mind is going to go either to this Cullen or Freya, just going to allow them to snowball their lane a little bit easier, make this transition to the mid and late game where the ADCs are there just that much easier for the side of Spaced Out.
Yeah. So very, very interesting picks coming out from Just Built Different. They're no stranger to it. We've seen him go to them quite a bit, uh, and it's not too much of a surprise. Odd picks are sort of their quote unquote specialty, but Scylla, it's kind of insane to see a Scylla picked in, our Lord's Year of 2022. We haven't seen her all too much, but she's a bad god. What do you think that she's going to be able to withstand her own against this Discordia, or is she just going to fall off?
So with Discordia, you're picking her for both like just the burst damage late game. That's all she's really gonna do on top of the passive. Scylla, she's got that burst damage, but even more, her just passive giving her more power against enemy gods. So it's just me able to burst things a little bit more. You got that safety of the third ability, just being able to get you out of fights, and then your ultimate also being CC immune. So you have all these aspects, just gets you that safety of a mid laner you want while also having that late game damage. I would like Spaced Out to look at this Scylla and Cupid, just get the Freya head or get the Scylla not able to scale as well. But that's just what I want to see, just because Daji is just such a good pick, level 5 onward. So
Yeah, definitely a pretty good pick. I mean, all that CC coming out, it go great. I'm definitely prioritizing Daji's just on field her play, everything definitely good. But we also saw a Chalk known lane bully. Uh, you know, we know he's gonna do good in lane, but what do you think he's gonna be able to do outside of it? What do you think he's gonna be able to do in team fights besides just kind of hold?
yeah, I mean, you come into the late game and it's just Chalk. You're gonna want to ult. Kakal, you're want to ult. Your whole thing is just ult to engage a
Yeah.
fight. So they're gonna be the pieces we're looking at whenever these engagements start. I would especially look out for a Jing channel, into a Chalk ult, into a Mercury ult. Those all just being three really good engage tools. Just something for Spaced Out to look out for. On the other side, you do have Kakal, so they're, I mean, it's Kakulin. He's gonna walk in, knock everyone in an AoE up, and then that's a huge engage for Spaced Out. So be
Yep.
very, very interesting to see how these fights turn out and just how Spaced Out.
All right, everyone. Well, we're gonna bear with us. We're gonna have a bit of a. We're gonna have to remake some difficulties going on. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna wait it out. We're gonna throw it to just a quick break.
That's my ground and my mind rapidly declining. For this shit we watching the gallery of finance. I got my best placed on spaced out. JBL about to get chased out, yeah. JBL more like just big L's. Couldn't even be marked as rivals, yeah, spaced out on a different level. Ran it through the brackets like it was a walk in the park. We watching the revenge.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us with that quick break. We're almost ready. So I have one very, very important question to ask you, Ionicus. Who, in your mind, with everything that we've discussed, has the better draft?
And so looking at these drafts, right? Mercury comes online a little bit earlier than I'd say Freya does. You get that crit item usually second after Golden Blade, and then in the Rage, and then you get Deathbringer. At least in most standard builds, that would be the case. But I think if the game goes too long, like give Freya to like level 12, 13, 14, around that point when she's getting her second relic online, getting her like second, third item online.
Yeah.
Then things are going to start tipping towards Spaced Out. So I think I'm favoring Spaced Out's draft specifically because if they can drag this game out long enough, Zipzap has a phenomenal performance every game I've seen him in, and Freya is just that kind of character that will run a game no matter what.
Yeah.
But I want to throw the question back to you. Which team do you think is going to win this one? Because it's going to be very interesting, at least, to watch.
You always give me the tough questions. Well, both teams have great drafts, honestly. I'm going to have to agree with you on this one, Spaced Out. Definitely, I have to favor them, especially with how games have been going recently, just within this meta. Very long, drawn-out games. It's Freya is just a late-game pick that's going to get to late game, especially with all the pressure that she has. So I think Spaced Out is definitely going to win this. I mean, they just, on paper, have just a really, really good draft. And although just built different, they have merits to their draft, like a Xingtian and a Cupid. It isn't enough to me, it just doesn't. It's good, but I like Spaced Out drafts better, it just feels better. I'd play it more. All right. So, this is going to be... All right, so this is going to be a good one. Really excited. I guess we're going to go ahead. We're going to throw it into... All right, to our casters right now. Have fun, casters.
Thank you so much, Panda Bear and Sir Ionicus. We appreciate it. Welcome, gods, goddesses, and deities across the binary. Welcome back to the action here as we're getting ready to head into this amazing matchup between Just Built Different and Spaced Out. Looking at the picks that we've seen so far, Spirited, how are things looking for this possible first fight going to be breaking out eventually? Where are your eyes looking at the beginning of this matchup?
I mean, so far it's got to be probably around. It's got to be the jungles who gets off to that sort of early game momentum play. I think a lot of strength in the jungle role right now, and generally very often. So with characters like Mercury and Daji who are looking to scale, obviously, I think it's going to be which one of them can make the impact first. Obviously both characters have really powerful ultimates, but I think we probably won't be seeing much action until at least the level 5 mark on a lot of these characters. Both sides really play for that sort of scaling late team fighting stage. Though I'd say if we get to that point, I would give the advantage to Spaced Out. However, across the way, you have Asilla. And as we know, one team fight, one I'm a monster, will change the course of the game. That's canon, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced it many a time in my own Smite game, feeling like I'm safe, and then that little beautiful girl comes out of nowhere and then just snipes the heck out of you with the monsters coming from the knee. As we already see a fight breaking out, it looks like we're in the duo lane here. Thankfully, we're going to see some retreats coming in. Not going to get a finalization just yet. The Cuckoo and Shock battling it out here on the flank, trying to see who can get their minions across the border fastest. Looks like it's just going to be a battle of buffs right now as they go ahead and retreat back under their towers.
Yeah, I mean, Nacho did end up falling there, which is really good sign for Spaced Out. That duo lane doesn't really have a lot of super early kill potential, though across the way, Jing Tian Cupid should be really safe. I don't know if they just kind of disrespected the damage in mid lane. Daji might be in a bit of trouble. Probably going to back up here.
Alright, well, we'll see how well they can make it work out. Scylla is indeed giving some pushback here, definitely living up to the nope in their name. Don't want to be messing with that creature if all possible. We do see Kukulane coming out with the war cry to be able to unleash the monster, but it's not going to be enough to dissuade Chalk from clearing this lane. They're going to continue battling it out for now, but it's just continuing to be a little bit of a poke battle as we're looking with that early pick. There does come a little bit of gold. The team's almost already 1,000 gold apart in this early game.
Yeah, and it does come down to that first blood in that duo lane. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Line make a potential rotation over here to this left-hand side. Nothing too crazy and nothing to write home about yet. A 1k gold lead is nothing in this game. It really doesn't get scary until it's at least 5k, I would argue. One thing I am going to talk about, though, very briefly, is this tier 1 Transcendence start for the Chalk. It's a little different than what we normally see. It's not the sovereignties, the potential mystical males we kind of see here and there. It's a tier 1 Morningstar, and it's going to be into a Transcendence more than likely. Probably not a Heartseeker, probably not a Dominance. So, this Chalk not going to be as tanky, and against a Freya, that might come back to bite him a little bit. I'm really not so sure what the thought process here. Maybe just looking for a little bit of extra backline dive against a Freya Discordia comp.
Yeah, that might be the goal, just to see if they can absorb whatever it is that's going to be dished out by them as we see Mercury kind of making their way through the jungle. If they can provide any support already coming in on to Kabrakan. Not going to be able to finalize that elimination, though. We will see the retreat coming in from Vile Blood. They go ahead and head back to the safety of their team. Scylla, though, right now sitting under tower. Nope, trying to put some space between them and Ginger Archer and Victoria. See the battle going out. The Golden Apple of Chaos being released. Mercury falling incredibly low, but is going to be able to retreat under tower. Mystic Megatron heading back to spawn to get healed up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit more fighting, and it's gonna keep going. Dodgy straight onto the chalk.
Whoa!
Get out the bleed. Is it enough? He's fine.
Oh, dang. So close. Just did not get that final hit in that could have spilled the doom for this lane. But Kuka lane is going to be getting a lot of value to be able to get those minions under tower. Spark Fyra, indeed, living up to their name by striking fire in that lane.
I mean, good showing so far. Both junglers being very active right now. You know, trying to get as much done as they can early. They know they have the advantages late, sure, but I mean, when you're kind of Mercury versus Dodgy, both of them can afford to really play active early once they've hit 5, and they have. It was a great whoop on the left-hand side from Zip Zap to really keep his support alive there. So good showing from the Freya. But again, it's gonna just be a lot of farming right now. Mid camp's control is gonna be really important for both teams. I think, you know, it is just a bit of a coin toss, excuse me, until that first objective fight really comes around.
That's true, and with us being past the 5-minute mark, you gotta keep your eye on that Fury as well. Oh, Spark Fyra falling incredibly low and will fall to the axe of Fat. It looks like that health, that visit back to spawn was exactly what they needed. Spark Fyra should have taken advantage of that while they had the chance. That's gonna tie things up 1-1. So go ahead and see folks battling it out for the buffs.
Yeah, Spooderfat just catches Sparkfire. Excuse me. These are some great names, by the way. Some great ideas. Spooderfat. You know, you have Ginger Archer, Zip Zap, Mr. Nacho. Like, these are some great ideas. But yeah, it's a great showing from Spooderfat, who just kind of catches Sparkfire unaware. Really, you know, really manages to catch him off guard and gets that solo kill. A great showing for the Chalk, who's opted for this Transcendence, and when you go Transcendence and you get a solo kill like that, that really just kind of excels your laning phase a lot more. We see the Dodgy on the right-hand side, maybe looking to equalize that lane.
We'll see if they can make it happen. The bleed in full effect right now as we see the tower being released. Lina living up to her glory on the Dodgy. Going to go ahead and clear the solo lane, creating lots of opportunity for Spark Fyra to take back the ground they lost.
And that's a great time to gank. You know, 20 seconds left on that TP for Spooderfat there, so it's just a good catch on the Chalk there in that moment of timing. While his relic is still down, so he's gonna have to walk all the way back to that lane. So really good showing from Lina, really looking to put pressure early, which is good because so far this Mercury hasn't looked for much since that left-hand side purple defense. He really has been slowing down his pacing, I guess you could say, at this stage. Looking to get those mid camps, obviously, but it just has been Lina, I think, who's just looked for more. You know, we saw them on the right-hand side twice now, and that second time obviously secures themselves a kill. So a good showing from them so far in this matchup. Ooh.
Getting a little charged right there on the flank. Nacho looking for blood with those hearted arrows. Won't be enough to take them down just yet, but definitely puts a scare into them. And here we go, Mystic Megatron once again on the flank.
Oh, got spot on a ward.
What they can side out.
It's Nacho here.
We'll see. Oh! The double dash, but it's not enough to get away from Lina. she's gonna come in, dive on, grab that elimination, bringing it 3-1 right now. It looks like the rest of Just Built Different indeed are going to rebuild for the moment and give Space Out indeed their space.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Nacho is doing that deep on his own. You know, you have Mystic Megatron who's probably calling, hey, I'm looking for an ult, but you can't really get those clean Mercury ults you normally want in those jungle fights. Oh, fight in the mid lane. Mystic Megatron probably dead here.
Lao goes up large as we see Ginger Archer able to secure the elimination on Mystic Megatron. A lot of Just Built Different struggling right now as they are not only losing gods, but losing health across the field, and with one in pretty much each lane, it's going to be hard to continue to hold on. Zipzop coming in on that Freya, unleashes the ultimate, but it's not enough to be able to take down the elimination as well. They're going to start using this time to gather up some buffs on the enemy side. Just Built Different is going to have to figure out another strategy to be able to catch up.
I feel like, I mean, obviously Mystic Megatron gets caught in the mid lane, doesn't have beads, has opted for that blink, which is not the end of the world. You have a CC immune ult, and you kind of have to have blink if you really want to be the pace driver this game, but I think Mystic Megatron needs to take a step back and just kind of activate the farm mode. Go into a farm mode where he's on all of his timers, on all of his camps, just roaming around, maybe looking for some mid camps, but overall just trying to farm it out till he gets that level 12, because I don't know if he can fight Lina at this stage, down 2 levels, doesn't have beads to really deal with that powwow, is still farming for that rage, so we don't have that true Mercury we like to see in those late games, hitting for over 1,000 a crit. So it is just a farm game, I think, at this point, and that's okay. It's only 1-4. It's not, you're not down and you're not out of this game yet. You know, Spaced Out still kind of haven't gone for that Gold Fury or Pyromancer even yet. So it is just a slow game off of kills and weird buff invades, and so you can just afford to take a step back, be like, okay, guys, let's calm down. Let's just activate our farm mode. We have the Scylla scaling. We have the Mercury scaling. Our Cupid's going to do great in the team fights. And so I think they're perfectly okay to just slow down the pace.
Looks like as we were slowing things down, there was a little bit of an engage right there between Nope and Spooderfat against Vile Blood. And Under Tower going Spark Fyra, gonna be able to find Spooderfat. He's just barely able to get out from Under Tower with the skin of their teeth. I'm gonna go ahead and retreat to make sure they don't get eliminated as well. That's another point, another elimination on the board, and things are continuing to look dire. And going back to kind of what you were talking about, their different. Oh, that's true. We do see going down. Pyromancer looking to fall here. We'll see who takes it out. It's Spaced Out. Able to grab the Pyromancer, bringing them almost to a good 4K above what we're seeing from JVD.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of worst case scenario. You start the Just Built Different, by the way, because, you know, on the left-hand side, we didn't get to see it because of the Pyro fight, but Lina was able to catch out Nacho in the jungle. 0-3 on the Cupid. Zip Zap is now in a great spot as a Freya, especially against a Cupid. Normally, Freya kind of doesn't do well into a Cupid matchup. She kind of struggles a little bit, but so far, it's been Nacho really struggling in this laning phase. Down 0-3, doesn't even have his Transcendence stacked before he's gotten his second item, so just really struggling in this laning phase. But I mean, Spark Fyra in the solo lane, once again, or not even once again, but it's just solo for solo here in this right-hand side. They're just brawling left, right, and center. It's just a fight over here. This time around, it's Spark Fyra, and I would say it comes down to the build. It's just the sovereignty and the Glad Shield. This Chalk isn't tanky yet. He only had the Transcendence in tier 2. What was probably a Glad Shield. Even now we see them just kind of brawling it back. And so it's just a fight over here. And ultimately spaced out, they get that early objective, they get the Pyromancer as well, so now we're at that stage where they're slowly starting to snowball here in this game.
Well, as you said, Just Built Different need to take some time to see if they can regroup, but every moment that they allow Spaced Out to continue to take that space is going to continue to be deadly. And once again, we're seeing that that level difference between Lina and a Mystic Megatron right now. If you were looking at JBD's setup, well, of course you are. What would be your recommendation of how they should kind of combat such an aggressive team with this aggressive lead?
I think you just kind of have to slow it down and then just kind of wait for the Gold Fury. Let them pull, let them kind of tank it for a bit. They don't have the greatest sort of sustain. Your jungle fight is insane if you're Just Built Different. Lots of big circles. So if you can manage to catch out a frontliner even, or a backliner who just doesn't have relics, it really is just going to be Just Built Different who have the jungle fight over Spaced Out. Though I will say Disco and Daji in a jungle fight is pretty good as well. I do think that Just Built Different's jungle fight is just ultimately better than Spaced Out's.
Well, let's see if they can create that time needed to be able to draw out this fight and put it a little bit more in their favor as we are ever closer getting to taking down that Gold Fury. You know that Spaced Out are just licking their lips and waiting for that opportunity, but they gotta find the moment to strike. As we continue to see this mid lane poke battle going back and forth, we do see Nope able to get a good chunk of damage onto Ginger Archer, but both teams are going to go ahead and retreat under tower for the moment. Not going to find any elimination there as they go ahead and farm up some more buffs and hopefully put them in a better position for the next fight.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. It's just analyzing. It's just farming right now. You know, it's Mystic Megatron has that Rage online, has 0 stacks right now, but this is probably a good point where Mystic Megatron to maybe look for those potential side lane ganks. Probably not on the Freya. The Freya's kind of impossible to kill right now. As I say that, he is over here, but is going to back away. So just going back to farming, I think. The Scylla has quietly been farming. Is 0-1, but that's okay because it's Scylla. You know, she's still even, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
She's not behind, which is a problem that Scyllas do struggle with sometimes. Oh, blink here from Lina.
Once again, gotta be careful there. Spooderfat almost getting caught out. Thankfully able to utilize the Storm Call, make them a little invincible and be able to get under tower so that Lina is not able to secure that kill once again.
Could see a bit of a trade here. Mystic Megatron just gonna back up, and so will Lina. Nothing too crazy going on there, but yeah, I mean, Spooderfat gets out, is able to back to base and walk back up, or sorry, TP up to lane safely. If I were to guess, I think his TP's up. Yeah, there it is. There he is in the right lane. But yeah, it's nearly a 4K gold lead for Spaced Out, and this is kind of it hasn't gotten worse in the past 4 or 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it kind of went awry at that Pyromancer, but Pyromancer's back up, so it's respawned. And Spaced Out have just not done the objective. They haven't done any objectives. And so it's kind of allowed Mystic Megatron to keep this, you know, only 1 level deficit. I say that as Sparkfire is here. He's in the Mega form.
Oh.
And so that's probably a free Gold Fury, unless the Scylla can maybe say something about that.
Well, let's see what they can make happen. The rotation is coming out as they're trying to find their way there, but going to get blocked out by the walls of Vile Blood Mitch. Not going to be allowing anyone to get close to that Gold Fury unless they are Spaced Out. They are going to take advantage of the Pyromancer being free, though. Hopefully Mystic Megatron and Spooderfat can get it quick enough. Thankfully, they will be able to get it before being taken out. Vile Blood, indeed, storming the floor. But it's not going to be enough to be able to save anyone or take anyone out for the moment. Everyone retreats back to their lanes. A little bit of poke battle in mid, but nothing too serious just yet. Going to be turning out for Spaced Out. But both teams getting pretty deep in there. We're heading into the late game now, and I've got to wonder, what is the strategy for Spaced Out here? Why have they not taken advantage of the lead they have?
Yeah, they're still scaling a lot. You know, we checked the Freya build. They have a Ratatouille third, and that's probably going to be a good sign for them to really say, okay, ready, set, go. Let's make it happen now. Definitely not the Freya build I would normally go for, but it's all right. You know, is probably looking for what looks like a Toxic Blade next, and against a Chalk and against a Cupid and Jingchen, I really don't mind that idea. I do think they'll need what is probably a Demonic Grip last item potentially here. Though I say that, Spooderfat has 0 defense right now against the Freya. Against a double magical carries, they have the Transcendence, which is, you know, Chalk is selected to go for that. That's fine. That's the identity he wants to go for. Then it's a Glad Shield. But now it's probably if I were to guess, a Breastplate of Valor or a Spectral. And the only reason I think Spectral is maybe because, oh no, the Mercury's on his team. Yeah, I have no idea. It's a Breastplate of Valor. So the double carry is going to have... The double carry is going to have a very good time against this this Chalk, who is just going to melt to a Freya with Ratatouille third item. So it's going to be a rough time for Spooderfat, I think, in these team fights.
Oh, I think it's going to be just up to the rest of the team to be able to try to zone out that Freya early, maybe get them eliminated and create that space for Spooderfat to be able to use that extra damage
he's in
and
trouble.
less defense. But things are looking a little rainy, a little cloudy. Lyra looking to dive under tower as we see Sparkfire taking the damage. It's not going to be enough, though, to be able to clear the lane, be able to clear Spooderfat back to spawn for the moment. It's still going back out to poke out as we see the wall coming up. Here comes Paolo, rather, and there it is, the third elimination coming in from Lina. She is just serving up Spooderfat on a silver platter every single time she's on that side of the field.
Yeah, it's the 4-man rotation, and where's the Scylla? Still in the mid lane. Nacho could be in a bit of trouble. That haste effect, and there it is. Zip Zap with the solo kill yet again.
Right under tower too, could not get away fast enough, and with 2 gods down, that is going to make things a little bit difficult for Just Built Different to be able to hold. We're already starting to see the towers going down in the solo lane to go ahead and start creating that space for them to start invading. But as I'm sure everybody knows, before they get anywhere close to those Phoenixes, that Fire Giant has got to fall.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to allow Zip Zap to keep farming this left-hand side. You know, the way Spaced Out are positioning, they've really threatened Just Built Different with a potential Fire Giant pull. You know, congregating on this right-hand side, they've kind of threatened it, and so all 4 members kind of have to, you know, shimmy over to that right-hand side, maybe like, are they pulling? Are they not pulling? If we peek the Jingchen, he's kind of in that position where, like, okay, I can see they're not on fire. We're okay. We're okay. But I mean, man, it's just been snowball after snowball here for Spaced Out. They've just gotten little wins here and there. You know, we see the 4-man grouping on the right-hand side to pick out the Spooderfat on that Chalk, and it's ultimately a contagion for Spooderfat. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think the breastplate lets you get some more healing. I get why it's against the Freya. You know, Freya's gonna have some healing in the kit. But I think I'll tell you what I think. I think Just Built Different said, okay, we need anti-heal. And we peek the Scylla build, and the Scylla doesn't have a divine, probably building a divine right now. The Mercury can't really afford to go a Toxic Blade. He really needs that crit, that Erendite. You know, a lot of damage. He's looking to one-shot someone, so healing isn't really important for him. ADCs can't build healing, or anti-healing, unless you want to go Shadow Steel, but that kind of hurts his build. So it's just a contagion. And I don't know. I'm not a fan. I think that item is bad. I think you'd rather go Brawlers, and Brawlers wouldn't be bad if he's looking to one-shot someone. He's got the Transcendence, he's got the Glad Shield, so the Bruiser style isn't a bad look. But I mean, this Gold Fury is gone, and Just Built Different can't even walk in.
Yeah, there's really nothing that they can do to be able to get close, and you really got to start looking at the levels on the field, because to me, it's always just a numbers game. already the first 3 level 20s all sitting on the side of the Spaced Out, while JVD are still building up their various relics and levels. Many on the side of Spaced Out having maxed out stacks in their items, looking specifically at Lina and Sparkfira, essentially have everything built, ready and raring to go. As they also invade the Pyromancer, that's going to go ahead and put them at a 10k lead in the gold field, and God's knows how far in the XP field things are looking incredibly dire for Just Built Different.
There is hope. Just Built Different have a level 20 Scylla. You know, Nope has done a really good job of farming to that point. He's actually got a lead over Ginger Archer, which is a good showing so far. But agreed, it is looking very grim. You gotta have hope. You gotta have a little bit of hope somewhere. You gotta paint the picture. Be like, hey, one Scylla can change the course of a game. I mean, either Nope makes the impact or he doesn't. That's what it's gonna come down to. I think is if he can get a good I'm a Monster, a good Crush, a good Root. You know, it is just going to be the flip of a switch, and then Just Built Different can be right back in this game. But I mean, everyone in this game is making it hard for Nope to make that impact. You know, we saw Nacho get solo killed. Spooderfat has not had a good game, has been ganked multiple times. It's just been unfortunate for the Scylla to get to that point where it's, you know, I'm going to solo carry the game, because you can't really do that in Smite anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's the way these games are built. It's not meant to be a one-person game, but hopefully that opportunity to shine will be coming up soon, because time, although the clock doesn't necessarily run out, we know that a Spaced Out is looking for that opportunity, licking their lips at that Fire Giant and being able to just run it straight down mid. There they go, looking to already down to almost half health. As we see Just Built Different trying to rotate around, looking to see if they can utilize that I'm a Monster and get those eliminations if it is at all possible. Sparkfire zoning out best they can. And there's that first pick coming in, but it is all spaced out right now. The eliminations being traded. Ginger Archer able to find that pick onto, I believe it was Mystic Megatron, and that is going to be a deicide if ever there were one, unless somehow Idazi can get out of this absolute chaos they're caught in. It's not going to happen. That's a deicide on the field. Just Built Diff has just been laid out on the field, as we go ahead and see the clearing now for the side of Spaced Out. Is going to be an easy run here to the Phoenix as they wipe down the field and look to take this game.
I don't know if this is game necessarily. You got chalk up in 10 seconds on the Scylla, but they are going to go for it. I mean, unfortunate for Just Built Different. The Scylla was looking and looking and looking, but they knew exactly where they were that entire time. Can Scylla defend here against the 1v5? Probably not. This should very well be game number 1 for Spaced Out here.
I am that's actually a little surprising to me. I didn't think that they'd literally just run straight to the spawn area and take down the Guardian like that. I figured they'd farm a little bit more, but hey, they knew they had the firepower, they knew they had the time and the ability to be able to take it out even without the reductions of the other Phoenixes being down. That's going to be a point on the board in our best of 5 series for Spaced Out. Let's see if Just Built Different can build things up better this next time around. We're going to go ahead and send it back to the desk with Panda Bear Ash and Sir Ionicus to be able to break down the action.
Thank you so much, Captain Jack. Really appreciate it. Insane game 1. I just, it absolutely insane. I cannot believe that Spaced Out took game number 1 in that dominant of a fashion. It's just insane, unheard of.
It's a very powerful performance from Spaced Out in this game. I mean, Lina was running a clinic in the jungle that helped get everyone else on the board online. It was insane. Especially, just seeing Zip Zap just over there in Duel Lane, casually just being like, you know what, Cupid, I've got 2 items online. Bye bye. Just watching that game, it was like masterclass of here's how to play Smite. Obviously, some mistakes here and there, but overall, a very strong performance from Spaced Out.
Yeah, a really, really strong performance. There was a lot of good things coming out from them. I mean, a very, very early first blood coming out, kept racking in the kill on Cupid. And it just snowballed from there. I mean, we saw Pyro being all right. So it's a lot a lot of just snowball. I mean, 11 minutes and near 12, Pyro was pilled for spaced out, and they got 2 kills. I won all the way in duo, sure, but they just kept going and going and going, and there was just no stopping spaced out. Zip Zap looked insane. Lina looked insane. You can't give them Freya or Dodgy at all.
Yeah, I mean, you just basically put two of probably, in my mind, best characters in their roles. Freya, very, very strong, just scaling
Mhm.
character. Literally just needs Hasten Katana nowadays. With the
Yeah,
early buff she got received a few patches ago, and then she just runs at you.
yeah,
Obviously, the new Nimble of Nimble Bancroft's Claw,
yeah,
Bancroft's Talon not being picked up, but the Ring of Hecate doing well, doing its work there, and the passive as well. So you got that right on Freya, and then on Daji, what's your Cupid gonna do in the late game team fights? But kind of just sit there and get ulted, especially when the beads are down. When you have a
yeah,
Bracken, Cullen, Freya, Disco all like bearing down on you. There's not much you can do but beads, and then Daji's gonna pull you in with the Palau.
yeah.
So very good.
Yeah, a lot of it. All right. Well, we're going to go through it to a quick break, and we're going to come back for game number 2.
some minutes. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. By the way, I told you we were in this. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. People are nice, they go easy on us, but I'm on the sun today. I'm out of reach, trying to pinch my cheeks, 'cause you're making me wanna sigh. Wide awake while someone counts some minutes. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. By the way, I told you we were in this. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. While away while someone counts some minutes. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. By the way, I told you we were in this. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. Wide awake while someone counts some minutes. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. By the way, I told you we were in this. Happiness, Missouri, I got to get your mind off. People are nice, they go easy as cold as there. Her body so still, with looks that could kill. Walk past the devil traps, you'll feel her pull inside. The words in her eyes fall deaf to the blood. Inside, the secrets you'd find, the secrets you'd find. Caught in desire, set up like a tripwire when you step in. She got you tight, trip You'll taste her heavy lips, poison, just one kiss. Caught up in a web, couldn't go all night. Shooting on a beer, set it off, can't find it. She's got you locked inside. You feel her come alive. Her body's so still now. She goes for the kill now. Caught in desire, set up like a tripwire when you step in. She got you tight, tripwire. Caught in desire, set up like a tripwire when you step in. She got you tight, tripwire. Tripwire.
Tell me, why did you feel my lungs? Close my eyes, it's only darkness. Close my eyes, it's only dark. You won't win, won't see my white flag over the hill. I keep moving, I won't stay still.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is still Panda Bear Ash, and it is still Sir Ionicus on the desk for you, getting ready this picks and bans. How you feeling, man? Great game one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're spaced out, that's the best possible game you could have asked for. You win in such a decisive time. If you're just built different, on the other hand, some things to look at, especially maybe finding a draft that works against this early pressure. I mean, Spaced Out had such an early game or late game draft, and then dominated the early game with the Kabrakan, with the Disco, with the Daji, just all of those having extremely high impact early game to help the other people just roll over everyone else in the late game.
Yeah, definitely. It just works so well for Spaced Out. It just they played really well on the field. I mean, I can't fault them. It's some good, great play. Some bands coming out. A Baba Yaga band, there were a lot of band, a Dodgy band coming out, so that's pretty good. And as it seems, and on the other side, a Kali, Cupid, and Capri band coming out. So looks like Khepri will be banned. Poseidon was banned last time. He was the other contest guy between these guys. So, very interesting. Neither was picked. One was banned. Maybe we'll see that again, just inverted. But Kool-Aid is picked up. First pick overall. They had a great showing for Spark. So, I'm not too mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very strong solo lane presence. I know I didn't say anything on it to start with, but Sparkfire on against that Chalk on the Kakulin was very decisive in his lane, helped just make sure that that Chalk wasn't able to pressure the Freya, pressure the Disco in the backline very much late game, especially with the lack of magic defense he had by that point. You get Contagion, sure, Freya's healing less, but Freya's still hitting you as much as she's hitting, say, Mercury or Cupid or something like that. Going into game 3, or game 2, we've got Kakulin unspaced out again. So I'm hoping that JBD makes a game plan that doesn't let Kakulin run over the solo lane again as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That definitely has to be a real big point of contention, was just the lane dominance. I mean, Nope definitely did very well in mid, so, I guess you don't have to change much, but also, the Scylla didn't feel all too impactful. It was there, definitely did damage, attempted for a steal, could have made some plays. It's just, it needed to be more throughout the early game to give way to let just Built Different get more of a lead. I just needed more. Also, Mystic Megatron and the Mercury didn't have the best of showings, maybe he could have just had an off game, but I'd rather him change it up.
I will agree. The Mercury had a little bit of presence in the early game, but then kind of just stopped existing later on in the game. I mean, your Mercury late game carrier, that's what the point you want to be there. And unfortunately, just didn't work out for him. Even building the Erendite, making sure his ultimate was go in there, and nothing came of it late game. I mean, Spaced Out just ran them over. So I would like to see him on something a little bit different. Definitely going to be a struggle this game, I think. You ban out the Daji to lose the Nemesis to Spaced Out at this point. So they did pick up Disco and Ganesh, two very good picks into that, I think. But I'm a little concerned for just Built Different at this point, and I'm looking to see what they're going to draft to counter this.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that too. Just Built Different need to be careful. You can't. This Ganesh definitely a very big counter pick to the Nemesis. A lot of you have to dash through those walls no matter what. And a pretty good pick into this Poseidon. So a good response coming out for them. I definitely agree with it. But a thing that I'd like to mention, Poseidon is a pick that is contested between these two. The only one besides the Capri. So it's very, very interesting. It's almost like a pseudo second ban towards Nope. But I honestly don't think Nope was going towards this. So because this Disco was picked up, so he wasn't. But what do you want in response? You see Spaced Out top 3. If you're just Built Different, what is this last pick?
So I'm going to say this now because it has been showing out. I think if Just Built Different can play a Tsukiyomi or something with similar chase down potential as the Achilles, as they've just picked up, I think they can do pretty decently. Nemesis, you're going to be counting a Nemesis every time she hits her 3 to save the hard CC ability. Her shield's gone. You just have a normal Nemesis. As well as it'll also be able to chase down Poseidon. The whirlpools will be a little bit more difficult to get through, but they're decent CDs, so it should just be something you can chase around that. But that's kind of what I want. I want to see more early game aggression. Achilles, Ganesh, Disco, all very good ways to push that forward. So just looking forward to seeing maybe an early game jungle. I was about to say Humbats looks down, Spaced Out, already on the trigger finger for that one. Humbats is already gone from the game. So something similar, even a Sasana maybe.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would definitely like either of those picks. Both would be very, very good. Just a lot of chase down, like you said, chase down is the most important thing that you need, especially going with the Poseidon. Just Built Different did ban out 2 ADCs. Zip Zap definitely had a good showing in this Freya, so he's not getting it. And that's Xbalanque being banned out. That makes me think that they're... I don't know what they're going towards. This Xbalanque hasn't been picked up all too much. So it's a bit interesting. I don't know what they're thinking with that. They do have the pick here, so what would you want them to go towards? Do you think they're going to pick up their ADC, or would you rather have them pick up their jungle, or if this Achilles is going to the jungle, their solo?
So generally at this point, right, your jungle had a very lackluster performance last game. The Mercury top three it there wasn't very, didn't work very well. And at this point, you start to think, how about we play for the counter matchup instead? So I would probably like to see them go for the ADC here. They could opt for something different. But I want to go back to the X-Ball ban real quick. It's just I think that the ban might have been behind just the fact that Spaced Out so far have a I'm going to run you down comp, and there's not going to be much you can do. The Artemis maybe a little bit behind that spectrum, but can still obviously have that Caledonian boar chase through an entire team of people down the lane. So that's an option, but that's the kind of thought. But we kind of looking, we got a Nate Job pickup from Just Built Different. Not the choice that I was expecting, but Just Built Different, and I'm looking forward to see how they use it. On the other side, there's the Emotion Artemis. Very strong, just space control in that last 2 picks for Spaced Out, and it's gonna be very interesting to see how they play this off. Just Built Different into this.
Yeah, Artemis was snap locked, so instantly just Artemis. So I found that quite amusing. Zip Zap has had a good showing on Artemis so far. The semifinals, he played 2 games on it. Did pretty well those 2 games, so it worked out for him in the end. And Spaced Out, picking up a Charybdis in response. It's not really a pick that you see all too often. I can't really recall the last time I've seen it competitively, but it definitely has its merits. A very safe pick. So within this, what do you see?
I see that in semifinals, Spaced Out, Zip Zap in particular, loves to take these 1v1s. And in semifinals against the Kinkais, against Plush Rush in particular, it was an Artemis versus Charybdis matchup. And in that case, Zip Zap had been winning the 1v1s in game 1, game 2. Game 3, Zip Zap was losing the 1v1s against this Charybdis. So very, very heads up from Just Built Different to have both the safety of a Charybdis, both late game, and the safety of let's not have Zip Zap solo the ADC 2-3 times in a row, and instead maybe be able to turn that around and just get out of the fight instead of just not having that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That is a very, very good thing. It definitely limits the solo potential coming out from Zip Zap, which he loves doing. But also, I know Zip Zap has the capability of just farming. I've seen it. I've seen it where Zip Zap literally just kind of looks like he's looking at his opponent right in the eyes and telling him we are not playing the game at all. So it's definitely a good strategy, and I definitely like it for him. It feels real nice. But Just Built Different have a really good draft, and so do Spaced Out. So what draft do you think wins, Ionicus?
Well, I'm sorry, but again, I'm gonna have to go with Spaced Out. Not just because the thing, not just because of game 1 how strong it was, but also because of the team fight. It just too strong of a team fight. Just Built Different, I don't think has a draft that works that well into it. But on that note, we're gonna go ahead and switch this over to the game casters. Let them take over. Captain Jack and Spirited Book, and yeah, game unfolds before you guys.
And we're back. Yeah, I mean, going into game number 2, we have Spaced Out versus Just Built Different yet again. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone non-binary as well, or whatever you prefer to call yourself. That's a-okay with us. I'm Spirited Book, joined by Captain Jack. And we're here for game number 2. Bit of a change up this time for Just Built Different. They've elected to go for less of a hyper late game draft and elected to a little more early game. We have the likes of the Najah, the Discordia, you know, much more early game centered in comparison to the late game Mercury Scylla we had once upon a time. But across the way, I'm looking at the Zip Zap Artemis. It's not into a counter matchup Cupid. It's not into Heimdallr. He's blind picking it into Charybdis. And honestly, that shows you confidence right there.
Well, this should definitely be an interesting matchup indeed. I'm really looking right now at the Ganesh Yamoja there on the duo lane, seeing how that ends up playing out. But already falling incredibly low is Sparkfyra. But as usual, we see coming out of nowhere Lina on the Nemesis, able to grab that elimination, put that first point on the board for Spaced Out.
And that's a you know, last game it was like we were waiting for the 5-minute mark. We're waiting for the 5-minute mark. Oh, they've hit the 5-minute mark. They kind of can look for stuff now. Not this time around. Lina is active early and often here on this right-hand side. And so that's a good showing, especially because that's where they really put their focus last time around. And so seeing them do it yet again, the Achilles just isn't used to it this time.
That is true, and right now I'd love to talk about what I'm seeing on the field. Unfortunately, I'm just seeing a bunch of blobs on my end, so I'll hand it back over to you. Hopefully you can see a little better than I can.
We could talk about the drafts a little bit. I mean, it's the Nemesis, the Poseidon this time, the Emoja, which is a great showing in the support this time. You know, those walls going to be very impactful with that ultimate, so, you know, a bit of a change up here, but ultimately the same identity. You know, we had the Kabrakan last time around, so just looking to fight well in the jungle is the side of Spaced Out, and that's a good showing for them. Though across the way you have the Disco, who has good jungle fight as well, and the Ganesh. Achilles has a bit better of a matchup, I would say, than the Chalk. You know, we kind of saw last time around. Oh, Ganesh could be in a bit of trouble here. Pops the shell, should be all right.
That is indeed true. As we go ahead and head back to the duo lane, we do see Idazi falling a little bit low. Things looking a little bit dangerous there, but it doesn't look like Spaced Out is going to be taking advantage of it just yet. Zip Zap still giving a little bit of poke there on the Artemis, as the Archer, of course, making sure that they at least keep Dazzy at that very low health. It looks like we will see finally a retreat from Just Built Different, and that is going to create some space for Spaced Out to go ahead, get a little farming done, and hopefully clear that lane before they return.
Yeah, could still see a bit of aggression here on this left-hand side. I mean, Idazi really wants this, man. He's looking for this Artemis, and as they should. You know, Artemis not very good in that early game. Oh, Megatron here on this right-hand side, looking for the Cullen. Probably not going to be able to find it. He's kiting well through this minion wave, so that crit might change things. As yes, there's the ultimate, and that should do it. First blood, or not first blood, but first blood for Just Built Different, I guess you could say. They get themselves on the board, which is, you know, a little earlier than their first kill last game. And Lina here on this left-hand side now going to look for the Ganesh.
True. I'm a little bit behind since I'm having to look between stream and our feed that we're getting, folks, so apologies. But looks like we're seeing a little bit of farming right now going on once again as we debate. I guess the question I now have is, where are we looking in terms of, oh, it looks like the Nemesis coming in here, at least on stream, almost able to get that elimination right there. But thankfully, we will see Mr. Nacho just barely get away on that Charybdis, and we'll be successful in that. But looking at kind of the builds you see coming in, is there anything that's particularly catching your eye there, Spirited?
Nothing out of the ordinary. The Poseidon with Doom Orb is a little interesting because, you know, more often than not, we see a lot of Warlock staffs being built right now. I think Death's Toll actually is probably the biggest eye catcher for the ADCs. Both ADCs have elected for that Death's Toll starter. Usually you tend to see Cowl a lot with the Transcendence builds right now, but both ADCs opting for a little bit of sustain, I guess, this time in comparison to the usual attack speed and movement speed and all that.
As we go ahead and see the rotations now coming in. Nope, a little bit out of position, seeing if they can follow up, or get followed up upon, I should say. Mystic Megatron coming in for the flank to keep Ginger Archer at bay. Going back to the duo lane, we do see Zip Zop kind of on their own for the moment. Not a lot of pressure being put on by Just Built Different for right now, as their partner will be joining them here shortly. But it just seems to be, once again, very early, little farming, grab your pitchforks, grab your hose. We're going to be tilling the land a little bit and see what grows here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Megatron gets a kill on the right. He's interesting choice of words, Captain Jack, but Megatron on the right gets himself a kill. That's a good showing. 2-0 on the Naja. And I'll tell you what, Just Built Different already have one more kill than they had last time around in the last game. They got 2 kills on the board. It's already you can only go up from here. It's looking good. They're not in the lead, but they are doing much better than they were last time around. I will say that for this game number 2.
So you say 2 kills on the board, and the next thing that was getting ready to come out of my mouth was just wiped out Tomato Town.
That's 10 kills on the board right now. That's not 2.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
We gotta wait till there's 10 kills on the board.
And then I'll totally be in it. See, that's my boomer brain not working correctly there. So, nevertheless, though, we do see everybody back to their farming stats right now. Spark Fyra looking to go ahead and take down that totem, as they're looking to possibly dive this tower a little bit. Oh, in the mid lane, we do see Ginger Archer going down. Not much that Vile Blood can do at this moment to be able to fight back, except just fighting back some minions. But that pick does put Just Built Different in the lead. Something is indeed different here, Spirited. What should we be looking at in terms of these compositions compared to what we saw during the first match?
Well, first match, it was all, late game. We were all about the late game for both teams. This time around, it's all about the early mid game. You have the Naja, who's literally just running around with anytime that ultimate is up and looking for kills. And this is what Mystic Megatron kind of has to do. He's farming it out, but then anytime that ultimate comes off the Windfire wheels, he's going to look to bring some up from the sky, and then immediately the Apple or the Disco 2-1 combo will come out, though. Lina is on pace, 2-0 for Lina as well, and so they're looking to make an impact early and mid as well. And scales a little better, I would say, in the late in comparison to this Naja, but the way that Just Built Different have been roaming with this 3v3 combo of the mid support jungle, they're just hunting for any potential picks or relics that they can find. And you look across the way, 2 beads down, one from Lina, one for Ginger Archer, and sure enough, there it is, the route onto Ginger Archer, brought up from the sky, and will likely fall here. And yes, yet again, 4-0 for Mystic Megatron.
Mystic Megatron definitely needed those Heelys, it seemed, to be able to start putting those kills up on the board. So we go ahead and see the Gold Fury now activating. The question is, will Just Built Different be on pace to be able to take that down soon? It looks like we're seeing a rotation, and now coming out, Lyra and Fyra looking to light things up. Mystic Megatron just barely able to get away in the final moments. As we see now, Lyra falling incredibly low. Dawsey not able to provide Nope with the sustain to be able to keep moving forward there. Both will be able to retreat successfully to their spawns to heal up. But man, things were looking close.
I am so confused by that rotation from Sparkfire. Kind of loses some minion wave. I mean, what's he doing there in the mid lane? 10 minutes in, you're not looking at Gold Fury. You just lost a member. What's he doing there? They nearly get a kill out of it. I think Just Built Different have to be careful that something like that doesn't happen again. If Sparkfire, excuse me, rotates first and Spooderfat just isn't rotating, which he didn't really do that time around, didn't really get much for that rotation as well. Could have maybe invaded the back camps, but elected not to. So I think Spooderfat kind of has to step it up just in the macro play, you know, following the soul laner, or at least getting better push potential in the lane or in the jungle pressure. Left hand side, Zip Zap looking for that soul kill, walks in the trap, does Nacho, but will 3 away to safety.
That is indeed true. And right now it's things are looking relatively balanced, much different than we saw during game number 1, where things were definitely a lot more one-sided there for Spaced Out. You see Mystic Megatron once again on that hunt. That ultimate online, ready to unleash here in a moment's notice, and just looking for that opportunity to strike. Just Built Different is indeed taking on their namesake to see if they can turn this around and tie things up.
Yeah, and check out the mid lane. It's Nope with that 1-level lead. You know, kind of had it last game as well. Nope has been my standout quiet performer, I think, this game. You know, Mystic Megatron didn't really make the impact in game number 1. Game number 2, and game number 1, it was Nope who ended up hitting level 20 before the Discordia. But because of the state of the game and, you know, these late game picks, they didn't really have that chance to make the impact they wanted to this time around on a much stronger early mid game pick, I would say. Gold Fury does go down though.
That is true. With the Gold Fury down, that's going to put a little bit more cha-ching in the pockets of Spaced Out. Hopefully be able to give them some breathing room with the way that Just Built Different has been playing just yet. We see the Golden Apple of Discord coming out, the waves up and ready to crash, and there it is! Releasing the Kraken, Ginger Archer, able to find the elimination onto Mystic Megatron. That's going to go ahead and prevent Just Built Different, who possibly was looking to steamroll over to that Fire Giant, or at very least just find some eliminations. Not going to be finding one today. Even Vile Blood is going to be able to get away while they were just being chased down by Spooder.
I don't know if it's a miscommunication or what there. It kind of looked like that Nope was looking to ult the person that Mystic Megatron was ulting, so they gotta clean up these communications a little better. You know, it's really awkward if you're trying to expend 2 ultimates onto the same target at the same time, because, you know, one of them's gonna hit, the other probably won't. If the apple goes first, I think it's okay. But I mean, Windfire wields a much faster ultimate for the Najah, and as soon as that target gets taken up in the air, yes, they're taking, you know, some good crit damage, but outside of that, they're taking no extra damage on the field. So I think Mystic Messenger, Mystic Megatron, it's his first death of the game so far, so it's still not a bad look. Just needs to clean up those comms, I think, a little bit between the mid-jungle synergy.
Definitely understandable. We almost saw Spooderfat going down in that solo lane against Sparkfire, and now on this Achilles is seeming to have the same struggles that we saw before, and always got to be watching out for where Alina is, currently coming back from spawn on that Nemesis. Always ready to strike as we see the Rage unleashed. Very hulking mass Sparkfire on this Puka lane. And now going back over to the duo, we see Mr. Nacho. The rain of arrows coming in from Zip Zop. We'll go ahead and clear them out of the field. That ties things up 4-4 as we see Lina diving under tower, going for the double, seeing if they can take Spooderfat out of the action. But the tower is just too powerful. Spooderfat's just a little too all over the place. They're going to have to retreat to safety. Going to take the Pyromancer as a consolation prize. That's going to be just about it as things die down. Oh, it looks like actually they're going to see if Nope is looking to be taken out, spaced out. Will go ahead and invest the Kraken to be able to take down that Pyromancer in the last moment. But it looks like finally we will go ahead and see everybody kind of retreating to their sides and start farming again.
Man, Just Built Different side lanes are struggling this set. They cannot get anything going in their favor. You know, Spooderfat, you know, gets a gank one time this game, and it works out. Mr. Megatron gets the kill. So Spooderfat's like, yeah, I'm doing good this game. Nacho gets soloed again in this lane. He's really struggling. He's had some good pressure onto him. This Artemis has been allowed to go blink this time around. So, you know, gonna be able to dive really hard with this team that's so good at diving already, you know, off their ultimates. So it's not looking good for Just Built Different. And they, you know, spaced out, have this small gold lead, and they're just snowballing again if Just Built Different do not change the way they're playing this map. I think they're really gonna struggle going into the late game in a deficit once again.
Yeah, I think that's really the question that's kind of on the table at this moment. Is they were doing really well keeping things together here in the early game, but as we're now past the 15-minute mark, I mean, seeing it right here, Mr. Nacho and Zipzop, a 2-level deficit, just having such a difficult time being able to stay alive against this Artemis. They go ahead and attempt to battle it out. The minions there at least able to help out a little bit. The trap comes out, but Lina coming in somewhere in the mid lane, it looks like, and Zipzop will be able to take the elimination onto Mr. Nacho once again, spaced out, now taking the lead, locking in that 5k gold lead, or getting relatively close to it as the Primal Fury comes back for another fight.
Why is Nacho ever fighting that down 2 levels? As a Charybdis, you do not win those. You may have the tier 1 advantage with like a tier 1 Wind Demon, but you still don't win those trades against an Artemis. Forced to use beads and Aegis, and it's all wasted, loses out on that trade anyways. Across the way, Nope dies somewhere. That's unfortunate. It's just Lina running the game once again with that pace driving. I am not impressed by Just Built Different's side lane, and specifically Mr. Nacho has really struggled these past 2 games. If you are definitely going to a game number 3. If you do end up on losing this game or even winning this game, I think your priority is a Mr. Nacho pick. You're not waiting for 10th pick for 2 other bans. Left hand side, Lina, I think, steals that purple buff away as Nacho's not picking it up. But now Sparkfire could be in trouble on the right. Probably won't be. Megatron's just farming it out right now. Oh, but the gold tree's up.
We do see the poke out going on either side. It looks like Spaced Out will go ahead and take down that Primal Fury, giving him a little bit more of a boost. Definitely securing that 5k lead now, looking more like 7-8k as the gold continues to climb, us getting closer to that 20-minute mark. Lina in a very good position, as you said, essentially running the game right now as they're just going location to location, dropping buff after buff for their team in this jungle. I would say, looking at the items that are currently on the board right now, is there anything that really kind of stands out to you as maybe a little unorthodox for either of these teams?
Personally, and both teams have kind of built it this game, both ADCs. I'll hold that thought. There might be a fight breaking out. There's a Storm Brew and 4 members here on this right. They're hunting Mystic Megatron.
They are indeed hunting, and we do see Idazi there on the flank as well, getting ready to negate just about everything that comes through. It looks like they will hold
here
for the moment. Spooderfat looking to be a little bit alone right now as we see the 2v1 going out. Thankfully, that Achilles does have more than enough health to be able to sustain at least for a little bit. And we're essentially seeing people now going back to their side. Folks going a little too deep there. But it looks like it's going to work out in the end. possibly getting ready to see a tower go down mid, though. Go ahead and go back to what you were saying about any unorthodox things you might see.
I'm not so sure about that. There is going to be a potential fight breaking out.
Oh, there it is. Beautiful. The Kraken released once again. The waves crash down. Ginger Archer, as we see the golden apple of Discord come out. We do see the trade. Spark Fyra able to find Nacho. And Spooderfat, the trades continuing to come in one after another. Mystic Megatron now on the flank, just trying to do everything they can to get away. Spooderfat having to go under tower. And Lina is going to have to retreat there, not going to be able to solidify that one up. But man, what an absolute detriment now with the Pyromancer being taken advantage of by Spaced Out. Things are looking dire once again for JVD.
Yeah, and Lina's straight back to that left-hand side, just looking to strip any more farm that they can take away from Mr. Nacho. The Artemis does die, and that's a big deal. Mystic Megatron finds that one, but again, the comms got a little cluttered because the Achilles went to ult the Artemis, but he was already up in the air by the time that he went to hit that 4 key, so I don't know, man. Just the comms with this Najat need to be a little cleaner. You know, I'm getting this target, you hit this target. Though Spooderfat does do a good job of, you know, peeling away the dive onto Megatron as he's escaping. So good showing there. They do bite back, but again, it's small things. While across the way, Spaced Out are getting the big things. They kill 3 people and get the Pyromancer. It's the stuff after the stuff. We're fighting for the Pyromancer. We kill 3 members. Okay, go back and take the objective. They've gotten free Gold Furies. They've gotten free Pyromancers. And it's just that Just Built Different are not... They're not respecting this damage. I'm not sure if it's not they're respecting the damage. They're not respecting the numbers difference, the level leads, the experience, like the gold lead, the item differential. You know, we peak the ADC builds. Artemis has that fail not online. In comparison, there's no huge crit items across the way. There's just a Wind Demon Atalanta's, so not a lot of pen on the side of this Charybdis in comparison to this Artemis with Atalanta's, Silver Branch, and fail not on the board. So Nacho gonna have a hard time killing this near unkillable Cucullin, who's level 19.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be difficult in any respect of the matter there. We will continue to keep an eye on that, though. It looks like we will see Zip Zap go ahead and max out at that level 20.
Free.
It's gonna be up to them. The Fire Giant, though, cleaned up. Didn't even really need that ultimate in the end. Came out a little too late. But Mr. Nacho is going to take advantage of the fact that they are not there at the moment. At least take a tower down. Make a little bit more of that lane safe for Just Built Different. But in the end, I don't think that's going to matter much with these buffs. It looks like the snowball is getting ready to roll right down the solo lane.
Yeah, and this is kind of what Nacho has to do. I'm surprised he's not still split pushing. You're right, Phoenix is near forfeit at this point, unfortunately. They just have such a big lead. So I don't know. They are gonna back, and they are here to defend this. The Trebuchet is here on this right hand side to defend siege this down. So gonna be very tough for Just Built Different to defend this. Dharma Pillars does come out.
With the pillars up, that at least provides a little bit of ability to try to close that gap. The Phoenix bowling down anyone that they possibly can, but the health bars for the side of Just Built Different are really taking a beating, and there it is. First Phoenix down as Zipzop ends up finding the elimination onto Nope. Ginger Archer with the follow-up, and there it is, the snowball in full effect. And once again, they're not going for any other Phoenixes, any other towers. They're going straight for the Guardian as we see the wave coming up and clashing down. It doesn't matter at this point. A 5v2 cannot be saved as they battle it out. Lina and Ginger Archer take the final gods off the field. Deicide and match 2-0 now for Spaced Out as they go ahead and lock in this lead. Just Built Different Gotta find a way to turn this sucker around.
Yeah, down 0-2. It's really hard to come back in these kind of series. If I'm just built different, I'm going straight to the team talks, and I'm being like, guys, we got to change everything because the last two games have not worked. I did like the Neja. I mean, it was the only character that actually got kills for just built different. So good showing for Mystic Megatron this time around in comparison to last game on the Mercury. So much better performance. But your side lanes are still struggling. Your mid was struggling a little bit this game from the jungler. Lina had a great performance yet again. 5-0-7. Put a lot of impact on the map in the mid lane and the side lanes. We saw Nacho really struggle this game yet again.
Yeah, I definitely got to give a lot of love to Lina in that jungle. She is just absolutely putting on a clinic. It seems that everywhere you think she isn't, she is there. Ready, willing, and able to slit any god's throat at a matter of moments. So it is really going to take Just Built Different some additional tactics. Maybe a little bit more grouping up, a little less chaos in the coming last possibly or next possibly final match between them here in the finals. We're going to go ahead and throw it back to Panda Bear and Sir Ionicus. Go ahead and break down the action.
Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. As said by my good friend Captain Jack, it is Panda Bear Ash and Sir Ionicus. Thank you guys for casting that great game, and I was insane. I mean, I spaced out, beat Just Built Different in a less dominant, but still dominant fashion, 2 games in a row. If you showed me this like last week, I would not be believing you at all. I would call this photoshopped.
Yeah, it was again a very I'm gonna say dominant performance in space. Now, Just Built Different did have a bit of an answer. You had Megatron on that Neja, putting a lot more action than I thought the Neja would do. But unfortunately, the communication wasn't there. I'm thinking, whenever I was thinking Neja, I didn't see much to follow up. They started off that game well. They had Ganesh walls come up, so that whenever they came down, they'd fall into Ganesh walls. But then Discordia would throw out her apple afterward without confirmation. Later game, we had the Achilles ultimate miss that fatal strike just not landing because the target's not there. So it's just one of those things that I think they need to clear up some of their comms and maybe communicate a little bit more in these fights to fight spaced out.
Yeah. Just Built Different. They didn't play bad. Definitely had some weak points. They didn't play bad though. Spaced Out just played a lot better. I feel like there's just some things to get rid of. But we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna take it to a quick break as we get ready for game number 3.
sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through? Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for you.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Panda Bear Ash, still on the beautiful cast, and it is Sir Iconicus, still joining me on our desk. How are you doing after that great game number 1?
I'm doing fantastic. Definitely some signs of life out of JBD. Didn't really work out into the mid to late game, but there were signs of life, especially with Mystic Megatron having a spectacular early game performance. Just didn't translate well into late game. So looking forward to how Just Build Different is going to go into this next game. How they're going to communicate. I think that's like the biggest thing they need to work on between game 2, game 3. So looking forward to seeing what differences they bring into this next game.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that too. It looks like we have a mainstay band with this colleague and Kevry being band too. This is definitely going to be a good one. You know, Just Built Different. I'm wondering what they're going to be favoring in this first pick, banning that Cupid. We did see them go through some more comfort picks. You know, Nejah, big comfort pick for Mystic Megatron. So it that is being clearly, it is seen quite a bit. So I'm not too surprised about that one. But Spaced Out, they're working out pretty well.
Yeah, Space Out's just. I gotta say this now. Lina is putting on a clinic this set. Just the entire set on the Daji. Basically gave everyone pressure on the Nemesis. Made sure those side lanes didn't have any problems. Even with
Mm.
Megatron ganking early afterward, solo lane didn't have any issues because Lina came back over, said, "Hey, let's get the kill or at least establish pressure," and then moved out to the rest of the map. So, just I think if Spaced Out keep doing what they're gonna do, this game goes their way every day of the week. Glad to see that the not in Sparkfire's hands this time.
Yeah, Spark has looked insane on this coolant, so you just kind of you don't want to feed the hot hand. You know, it's still ripping hot, so you want to take it away. But in turn, Spaced Out taking away something that has treated Dazzy oh so nice. This Zing TM. It arguably is one of Dazzy's favorite picks, so definitely works out very well for them. To get you guys up on the bands though, just a bit different. Banning the Bracket, the Cupid, Spaced Out. Banning that Daji, not wanting Meg having it, and banning out the Baba Yaga, which has been a favorite of Nope's as of recently. So where do you think you're gonna want Spaced Out to go after this? They picked up the Zing Tian, like almost a pseudo fourth ban, onto Dazi. So what else? What else do you want them to do?
It's gonna be difficult, right? Because Spaced Out, right? The both sets. The first game they had we get to late game, we're gonna run you down. Second game they have out the gates, we're gonna run you down. And now they've got Jing Chen, which is another character that fits that playstyle very, very well. You walk in, ult, you're either grabbing beads or you're grabbing people, and those people, if Spaced Out's playing just like they've been playing all game, those people are gonna die on landing. So it's gonna be a very interesting draft to see how Spaced Out goes toward this, how they plan on just applying this pressure that they've had all set into JBD's new game plan, new draft, and so not what I was expecting, but not bad either.
Yeah, definitely. Same merits. I mean, high damage, good CC. You know, gonna be bursting people down, definitely killing them on landing, as you said. But I'm sensing a bit of a pattern. So game number 1, they're gonna come out the gates. You know, they're gonna do nothing. Late game, absolutely, just kind of try and W key at you. Game number 2, they W key at you early game. So that tells me mid game they're gonna W key at them. Trust me, this is all based in complete science. Game number 1 was late game. Game number 2 was early game. Game number 3, they're gonna W key mid game.
I mean, I would agree with you if they weren't already doing it both games. Like we saw the Freya come online so much earlier in game 1, so we mid game running them down. The second game, early game, they were running them down, so they had such much of a lead in mid game. Mystic Megatron was bringing waves in the early game for JBD. So there was that, and then so I just think it's a pattern of they like running at you mid game, so that's what we're gonna do, and it looks like JBD's drafting for it.
Yeah, definitely, they definitely are. You know, maybe Spaced Out just kind of like holding down W key. Maybe they just enjoy it. They partake in W keying, but just built different. Picking up this Geb and Yu Huang, two very safe picks. Geb providing that CC immunity in his shield. Cataclysm, one of the better ultimates. A lot of CC in that big circle. Yu Huang, a very very safe god, but can also change the aspect of a fight just immediately off of a whim. Spaced out, have a chance to get this last pick, and they're picking something that was banned out last game, and they're going to be picking up this King Arthur. I don't guess so. Ignored the last 2 games or banned out. Why do you think they go for it now?
I mean, the King Arthur, you're fighting Cullen fire with fire. King Arthur known for being an absolute lane bully, just like Cullen. And it seems less spaced out, not having Cullen this time around. It's just like, all right, let me just play the other big lane bully character among the warriors, King Arthur. A very, very good pickup in my mind. Just it doesn't give up any of the pressure they've had these first 2 games, and in fact, probably amplifies that pressure, just having extra abilities to do more. Maybe not the tankiness of Cullen or the extra damage of his enraged form, but you're still doing a lot of damage. So it's very going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of the same. It's going to be Sparkfire running a Spooterfat all of laning phase, Lina coming in and helping every once in a while. The only difference being you've got a Yu Huang and a Geb, allowing Just Built Different to have that extra safety into the mid to late game.
Yeah, it definitely is very good. As the second wave of bans has come and it has passed, we saw a Hunbats and a Lancelot coming out from Spaced Out. And Just Built Different, banning out this Omlosing Cap and the Nemesis, not wanting any shred, but Spaced Out returning with a very strong pick, and that being Heimdallier.
Heimdall, very safe, very strong pick. I mean, if they do opt to pick up the Charybdis on Just Built Different side, it's not gonna be met with the same exact just lack of pressure that Artemis has. You have that ability to run away from Charybdis, just like Charybdis can run away from you, unlike that Artemis from before. And in a Kronos, it's going to. I don't mind it actually.
It's a Kronos.
It's a weird pick.
It's a weird pick. I did not think we were going to be seeing a Kronos in 2022 in the lower division finals. That's insane. Tell me about Kronos. I don't care about anything else. Tell me about Kronos, please.
Well, you've got the fact that ZipZap has been, in as few words as possible, bodying Mr. Nacho in the ADC lane, just soloing him or pushing him out of lane so much, just establishing a huge lead. Kronos has that ultimate that allows him to just completely reset himself, and if perfectly timed, he goes from 0 to 100 health and gets all his abilities back to fight Heimdall before Heimdall can escape. That's my thinking in the thought process, as well as it also scales you better than a Heimdall into late game. That passive just giving you extra power every few minutes. So it's just going to be interesting. And having that Raven, especially early game Raven Cullen, that's your early game. Like as long as Mystic Megatron can make this Raven work and move it around to help out the different side lanes, and I especially say focus on getting ZipZap not into the lead that he's been getting in these past 2 games. So just looking to see how JBD uses this Kronos and Raven probably early game.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be exciting. I'm definitely excited for it. Kronos is a very not often picked pick. And maybe Mr. Nacho's gonna prove us all wrong. He's gonna be the pioneer of the Kronos meta. But with Spaced Out, they did pick up this Loki last, which is something that Lana has gone to. So no surprise there. On paper, who do you think is going to be winning this one out, Ionicus? Who's based on draft alone and nothing but the draft? Who do you favor? Do you think we're going to be going into a game we're going to be finishing it out here, or going to a game number 4?
I've said it twice. I'm going to say it one more time. I think I'm favoring Spaced Out, and this is based on just draft, not just the dominant performance they've had, but on the side of Just Built Different, you have safety with Ravana and Cullen being your only aggression. everyone else in that draft just speaks to me, hey, we don't want to die.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other side, you've got Jing Chen. Geb's really good on the Jing Chen if he picks one target, but if he picks up multiple targets and they don't have beads, that's a whirlwind of rage and steel into I'm a monster combo every day of the week. It doesn't matter at that point how much safety you have if you can't get out of that combo before I'm a monster touches down. But-
Yeah, you really can't. I'm a monster. A very very chunky ability, an ability that is going to be doing a lot of damage regardless of your level, unless your levels 1 through 4, then it won't be doing any damage. And I'm going to be going ahead and I'm going to throw it all the way to the casters in the game. We're going to go in for game number 3.
Thank you so much, Panda Bear Ash. We're back at it one more time. Spirited and myself, Captain Jack, looking to see if Spaced Out will indeed reach ludicrous speeds and take off with these finals, or if Just Built Different finally have found the match that will turn this ship in their favor. Now, looking at this and going based on what the desk has said, Spirited, I agree. There is a lot of safety on the side of Just Built Different.
Mhm.
What are the goals
Yeah.
at this point? What are they going to utilize in their favor to meet this aggression other than just being incredibly tanky?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to just sit here and be like, yeah, this set is going the distance, you know. We're going to a game 4, and then listen, they had me. They took the Kukulin. They had the Yu Huang, and I'm like, oh, we might be going to game 4. And then they picked Geb against, you know, a Scylla of Jingtian, a Loki, and a Heimdall. You know, Geb's really good against peeling a lot of that away. And then they picked Cronus. And look, I'm a big proponent of if you are super sick with the character, go with comfort, play that pick to your heart's content. I don't like Cronus here. I don't like Cronus here. It's not good. It's not good here. It's not good often at all. Like it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, not a good start. We did see Spooderfat be able to pick up the Kukulane to start things off, but it doesn't look like that's going to make much of a difference. Spaced Out and Sparkfire showing that they still got the skills regardless if they're not playing the same god they were on before. We'll go ahead and take that first elimination there in the solo lane. Things are a little laggy on my side, but based on what I'm seeing on stream, though, things might be heating up here in the mid.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, Spooderfat has fallen for this trick 3 games in a row now. 3 games in a row, he's just been ganked early. Oh, but he finds the return, and that's going to be a big deal for him because, you know, Spooderfat has really struggled in this side lane. You know, in game number 1, we saw him get a solo kill. Here, yet again, he gets ganked, but is immediately back with that TP and is just absolutely destroying this King Arthur. So, really good showing so far for Spooderfat in this side lane.
That is true. Unfortunately, I am having to work on trying to repair me being able to see other than the stream. So, at least based on what I'm seeing right now, look at these early builds and tell me kind of what your thought process is on how they're going to build these tanky heroes to hopefully not just be absolute damage.
We're just built different.
Yes.
I mean, I'm actually surprised we don't see a Warlocks on the Kronos just for survivability, but it will probably be a Bancrofts if I were to guess. Overall, it's just going to be, we're going to see a lot of, you know, sovereignties. You know, we'll see the Gauntlet of Thieves more than likely for the Gab. It's just going to be a lot of your standard tank items, the Glad Shield for the Cullen. I mean, it is such a good comp when it comes to your mid game, your kind of early game isn't bad. You have a Ravana. Again, this Kronos is just too stand out for me. I would have liked to have seen something different. I'm also not a big fan of double magical. If it was Kronos ADC and maybe a Hunter mid, you have something that can kind of work together in terms of that synergy. But just a Chronos ADC, the Tower Shred will be fine. It's just the lack of pen options, I think. Ooh, right-hand side.
Ooh.
Megatron will probably pick this
Yeah.
one up. Oh, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, actually, Mystic Megatron was the one that was on the back foot there for a moment. We're getting a little bit of the slideshow on our end, folks, so apologies. Thankfully, at least you're getting to see the action as it is going down. But nevertheless, it looks like both teams are able to pull out alive for the moment, and it looks like Just Built Different ended up taking an elimination somewhere in the mix, tying things up.
Yeah, it's been just a very slow back and forth game so far. You know, Jungle's once again looking for what they can find in their respective side lanes as much as they can, and it has been the talk of Lina versus Mystic Megatron this set. I think, you know, Mystic Megatron put on a pretty good performance in the early game last time around. This time around, you know, hasn't gone off to as fast of a start, I think, as his game number 2 performance.
Things were looking a little dire right there as we saw the Vile Blood Mitch almost falling there, had to retreat under tower, as well as the Geb for Just Built Different. With the Gold Fury now on the table, though, and neither side really kind of gaining ground, so to speak. Where do you see the first where do you see the first big shift in this match happening? Personally, I feel like it might be on the back of Lina just sneaking in on that Loki.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be around the junglers for sure, but I mean, it's probably going to be around either Lina. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Is Mystic Messenger, or Megatron, excuse me. I don't know why I keep saying Messenger. That's an app that I used to play once in a while. Has been, you know, kind of fighting around their team, while Lina has been a big proponent of, I'm going to go to my side lanes and gank. So if Lina can build up another lead off of a side lane sort of rotation over and over, ganking the Cucullin, ganking the Chronos a lot, both two really good gank options, I think, for the Loki. Definitely the Chronos for sure. And so it is going to be around that. If Megatron can get a small lead or keep even, which they are right now, they are a little ahead, just off of farming rotations. They can fight around objectives, I think, really well. The Cronus is really good at shredding objectives. Yu Huang fights really well around objectives, I would say, you know, with those dueling dragons. A pick we haven't seen this entire set, as well as the King Arthur. I have been like, where's the King Arthur? One of the best solo laners in the game right now. Him and Yu Huang, one of the best mids right now. And they have just been absent this set. The Cucullin snatch away, I think, is why we see the King Arthur come out for spaced out. We don't get the best solo laner, we'll get the second best solo laner in the game. And so, yeah, it's been a very good showing from these two solo laners so far. I think this time around, you know, we see Spooderfat get the return solo kill this time. So he's in a good position. If Lina can impact that side of the map again, I think he might struggle a little bit more.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be on to Mystic Megatron to be keeping an eye out for where Lina is, and it looks like Lina is going to utilize that ability to jump right into the mix as Sparkfire falls incredibly low. Spooderfat has to retreat to be able to get away using just about every ability they have, but there's Mystic Megatron looking to take right out of the mix. Loki is sent back to the spawn. That's another elimination on the board for Just Built Different.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good showing. Mystic makes the impact on the side lane. Lina does not, and that's a great showing for them so far. They, you know, Mystic has really fought around the side lanes. I think this time around, he's been in the left, he's been in the right. Not necessarily ganking the left, but just kind of shown his presence, I think, a little bit more this game. There's a fight a bit in the mid lane, and Nope does use the beads, but overall, this might be a wash.
That is indeed true, as we go ahead and see them pulling back, getting a little bit of farming under their belt, getting some levels up right now. Looking at the advantage right now that Mystic Megatron has. In the previous 2 games, we have not seen that level disparity being in favor of the just built different assassin.
Yeah, Mystic Megatron has really. I mean, he's on a different pick. You know, we talk about game number 1. It's the Mercury. It's the super late game hyper carry Mercury. Game number 2, it's the Najah. It's the kind of the setup bot. This time, it's the Ravana, who is a bit of a hybrid. He's a really tanky, you know, kind of setup oriented character in the late game, but in the early mid game, he's kind of a big beefy bruiser that can just run at you and kill you. And so I really like this identity selection, I guess you could say, for Mystic Megatron this game. I would also like to say, Dazi, it's really early, but I've liked this Gep. I've liked this Gep performance. I've liked it in comparison to the last 2 games in terms of support picks, in terms of styles of play. I think it suits them very well. I would like to hopefully see, if this does go to game 4, to maybe take another look back at that pick if this series keeps going.
Yeah, we'll see if that indeed will work out in their advantage. At least from what I'm seeing, there's a little bit of action going down here in the solo lane, but it looks like folks are retreating to either side. You do see Lina, they're in the jungle looking for that opportunity onto Spooderfat once again, constantly having to be watching their back, making sure there's not going to be a knife into it. And it looks like they will be able to survive for now, as we see the Stalker continuing to hunt their prey.
Nothing too crazy so far. I mean, it's just been a small lead that's been accumulated in the jungle. The solos are even, the ADCs are even, the supports are even, the mids are even, but it's just a small lead in the jungle. And as I've kind of harped on this set, that'll be the talking point, no matter what, in this set. It'll always be Lina versus Mystic Megatron. You know, Zip Zap has played well, but, you know, Zip Zap is not... I would say Zip Zap...
There's the pick on to Dawsey coming in. There is a trade from Nope, though, in the mid lane. Be able to go ahead and clean that sucker up. Going to bring us 3-2 right now. Just Built Different still holding on to that lead. We do see Spark Fyra falling a little low as well, but is going to be able to stay up in their lane against Spooderfat as the rest of the teams retreat to go ahead and heal back up and see if they can't push in for another attack.
And that's a good showing. You know, you're trading back. You know, game number 1 and 2, they were Just Built Different, weren't even trading back. They were just kind of falling apart and dying a lot. This time around, they're at least trading back. So a good look for them this time around.
Yeah, I think right now it's just the picks that they're utilizing to their advantage to see if they can provide a little bit more safety in numbers, as we've talked about a couple of times already. They're a little bit more tanky, a little bit more chonky boys on the side of Just Built Different, so they don't always have to worry about being immediately deleted. That might provide an advantage here. We do see a Trebuchet in the mid, pushing for the side of Spaced Out, but I don't think it's going to get too far. Do see some rotations coming in, some folks falling incredibly low. Lina trying to get away as best as they possibly can. It looks like they will indeed be successful as we go ahead and see eliminations coming in one more time from either side. It looks like it's going to be Idazi and Zip Zap going down in this fight. As we go ahead and see a little bit more poke going on, but nothing of substance for either of these teams. Just Built Different continuing to keep this lead as we go ahead and move into the solo lane. The battle between Spooderfat and Spark Fyra is indeed flamed on. Spark Fyra has to retreat under tower, falling under half. Not going to be able to sustain the barrage that is currently coming out of the Kuka lane. Spooderfat.
I mean, it's just been a very slow back and forth game yet again. it's really not much to be done right now. The objective fights will be where we start to see the big lead come out, I think, out of these two teams. Taking a look at the builds, though, it's a Bancroft's Hecate for the Chronos. I kind of like this identity. I don't like the fact that there's no Warlocks. I actually kind of still wanted to see the Warlocks, but I think the Bancrofts, you know, we've seen a lot of talent upgrades lately. Wouldn't be surprised if we actually see the other claw come out, though. I've heard a lot about, you know, the rumors of that claw and how it's pretty good, but I don't know, man. I think we might just see the regular talent upgrade.
That is true. We'll see how well that continues to pay out for them. Alina once again trying to go in for an elimination, create an opening, and is constantly seen on this back foot being chased down. I feel like we've got a little bit of Looney Tunes action coming in every time Lina goes for that elimination to start things off. But it looks like we're going to see a little bit more poke here through the jungle as folks rotate towards the Pyromancer and Fire Giant. Not going to see any blood spilled this time around, but definitely looking at this gold being pretty straight on. Just Built Different now taking advantage of the Pyromancer during the little break in the action. Spaced out indeed, kind of spaced out. Not realizing that JBD was going to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, Dazzy used his ultimate in the mid lane as well here to try and buy himself some time to keep alive, you know, a bit of more aggression, but yeah, Just Built Different kind of come away with a bit of a minor advantage. They do... did they get the Pyromancer? Sorry, I was fixing stuff.
Yep, we did see Just Built Different take down the Pyromancer. It was like a small lull in their fight, and as Spaced Out was backing up, JBD was like, we're all right here, let's just take it.
All right, well, good job for them. Good job for them. Spaced Out, kind of struggling. You know, Lina hasn't had the same performance that they've had these last two games, so I don't know. I don't know if it's just the way they've kind of picked this god, this Loki, and they've had to really slow down. They're playing more as a maybe a one-shot bot on the Chronos or the Yu Huang late game, but Lina has not ganked the side lanes, I think, as much as the last two games, and maybe it's because of the picks. The Cucullin a little harder to gank. The Chronos is now at that point where they're level 15 in, as we do see a brief pause come out here from the two teams. Something could have happened, who knows? But I mean, it's the Chronos this time, and they've kind of gone for a really safe pick in the sense of they are hard to kill with the ulti, the relics. So if they can really get to that late game, I do see Just Built Different coming away with a small advantage just by the nature of the picks this game. Though we do have to worry about the Scylla across the way on Spaced Out.
Yeah, I think exactly what you're talking about is what we're seeing kind of unveiling on the field. I mean, this Loki, you know, the reason these assassins are so powerful is that these squishy targets are just so easily eliminated by their abilities. But when you have a team full of good old chonky boys, not as easy to be able to drive a dagger into the shoulder blades of those gods. So we're going to go ahead and while this pause is on, we're going to take a quick break while we're dealing with some of our own technical issues. We'll be back with more of this finals matchup in just a few moments.